Growing up in a small Florida town, I never imagined my life would take so many twists and turns. My childhood was typical, filled with neighborhood play and homework. Fascinated by airplanes, I joined the Marines right after high school. My time as an avionics technician at El Toro Marine Corps Air Station in California was both challenging and rewarding, setting the stage for my future career. After my service, I moved to Pittsburgh for college and pursued a degree in software engineering. There I met Kay on a blind date. Her bright smile and caring nature captivated me. Kay, a nurse with a compassionate heart, and I quickly fell in love, married, and had 2 sons, John and Robert. Today was the first day of our Southern California vacation. We had just returned from Knott's Berry Farm, a place I fondly remembered from my Marine days. The day was filled with laughter, and we chose to unwind by the pool. Life seemed perfect. Kay and I had fulfilling careers, a beautiful home, 2 cars, and our wonderful sons. Despite the ups and downs in our marriage, we always managed to navigate through our problems. I felt incredibly fortunate, not realizing this would be our last weekend together as a family. Let me introduce myself. I'm Shane, 39, a lead software developer at an aerospace firm, specializing in avionics for military and commercial aircraft. After serving 4 years as an avionics technician, I joined the firm 10 years ago. I met Kay shortly after moving to Pittsburgh. She's 3 years younger, a nurse at a large medical clinic. We fell in love, married, and bought a house on the outskirts of Pittsburgh. We have 2 sons, John and Robert. Kay convinced me to have a vasectomy after Robert was born, which I reluctantly agreed to. We had good jobs, a nice house, 2 cars, and an active life. Despite typical marital issues, we always worked things out. At that moment, I had no idea my world was about to collapse, marking our last weekend together as a family. Watching Kay put on her new bikini, I admired her youthful appearance. Forget the pool, I teased. Let's stay here and warm the bed. She laughed, playfully slapped my arm, and sent me to check on the boys. Our suite, more like a small apartment, had 2 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom and a kitchenette. The boys slept in one room, and Kay and I in the other. After ensuring the boys were ready, we headed to the pool. I noticed Kay engrossed in her phone. Find anything? I asked. She shook her head. Just updating our relatives. Kay's family lived in Pittsburgh, while mine were retired in Florida. After playing in the pool with the boys, I got out and dried off. A tall, clean-shaven man, around 30, approached us. He had short dark hair and wore shorts and a t-shirt. Dan introduced himself and shook our hands. Mind if I join you? He asked, sitting next to Kay. There were plenty of free chairs, so I wondered why he chose ours. Before I sat down, he handed us a business card, showing he was an account manager for Acme Medical Supplies, based in Columbus, Ohio, about 3 hours from us. Isn't Acme one of the companies your clinic uses? I asked Kay, recalling their vehicle outside her clinic. She nodded. Yes, it's one of several we use. Turning to Dan, she asked, have you ever been to Pittsburgh? Dan nodded. Yes, about every 2 or 3 weeks. My territory covers Columbus to Pittsburgh, so what brings you here? I asked. I'm here for a conference starting this weekend, he said. I'll be here most of the week. We learned that Dan lived with his wife and 2 daughters in Zanesville, a town along Interstate 70 between Columbus and Pittsburgh. He described himself as a happily married man, joking about living in a house full of women. That's funny, Kay said. Shane can only produce boys. Dan spent time with us, even playing water volleyball with me and the boys. He seemed nice, and nothing between him and Kay seemed concerning. But my radar was on high alert. Eventually we decided it was time for dinner, and Dan said goodbye, hoping to see us again. We enjoyed our evening meal and headed to our room. Can you believe it? Kay said. In the bedroom, maybe Dan will get me the girl I've always wanted. What? I said, don't even joke about that. Remember, it was your idea. For me to get surgery after Robert was born, and I won't tolerate any cheating. Oh, I was just kidding, she said, I wouldn't do that to you. I love you too much. I love you too, I replied. But there's nothing funny about what you're saying. Nothing more was said. But I thought I saw a flash of guilt on her face. Maybe I was reading too much into it after spending time in the common area. We sent the boys to bed and headed to our room. When I was ready for bed, Kay said she couldn't sleep and asked if I minded her going for a late night swim. I don't mind, I replied. Do you want me to join you? No, she said, someone has to stay with the boys. I won't be long. Okay, I said, and she left. Our third floor room overlooked the pool. I set up my camera on a tripod, loving to take candid shots of Kay. She entered the pool area, swam, then sat on a lounge chair. Soon Dan arrived, still in shorts and a t-shirt. And they talked. She seemed to glance at our room, but I knew she couldn't see me in the dark. Then she leaned over and kissed him. I tried to zoom in, but they got up and left together. And I lost sight of them. Had she really cheated on me with someone? We just met. Her phone was on the dresser, and I considered checking it, but decided against it, not wanting to invade her privacy. I waited. But Kay didn't return. 3 hours later, she came in, smelling different in a way I couldn't pinpoint. It's about time you came back, I said. I saw you leave the pool hours ago. Sorry, she replied. Dan came down and we talked for a while. Then we went to a restaurant for drinks and lost track of time. She lied. I thought, I know what booze smells like, and she didn't have any on her breath. Suddenly I felt nauseous. I rushed to the bathroom, locked the door, and threw up. Kay knocked. Honey, are you okay? She asked. I'm nauseous, I said, washing my face and sitting down. Why is she doing this to us? I wondered, was our whole marriage a sham? Are the boys even mine? I sat there, overwhelmed with thoughts. Kay knocked again. Do you need a doctor? No, I'll be out soon, I replied. After cleaning up, I returned to the bedroom. Avoiding her, we lay down, and for the first time, I didn't kiss her goodnight. I love you, she said quietly. I said nothing. Good night, she finally said, turning away. I thought I heard her sob, but I didn't care. The next morning, I got up, exhausted from a night of nightmares about Kay and Dan. I said nothing to Kay. As I got ready, I had promised the kids a trip to Disneyland. And nothing would make me break that promise. How are you feeling? Kay asked. As we dressed, I feel like crap, I growled. Maybe you should stay here, she suggested. No, I said, I promised the boys Disneyland, and I'm not breaking my promise. She recoiled, but stayed silent. We went downstairs for breakfast, saying little to each other. Dan joined us at our table, sitting between Kay and me. I thought I saw him smirk, and Kay smiled at him. So what's on your agenda? He asked. We're going to Disneyland, Kay said. Mind if I come along? What about your convention? I asked, trying to sound neutral. Oh, it's just boring seminars. He said, I've heard it all before. Well, Dan, I think Shane wanted a family outing, Kay said, looking at me. That's right, I said. I promised my family a day at Disneyland. Family is the most important thing, he said. Too bad you didn't think of that last night, I thought. Have a good time, Dan said, standing up. As we left, I thought I saw him signal to Kay. What's gotten into you? Kay asked. On the bus to Disneyland, you were so cold to Dan. I could ask the same of you, dear wife, I said, emphasizing wife. I could ask who attacked you. Shane. That's not nice, she said, pouting. Please, I said sarcastically. Let's just have a good day for the boys, okay? Okay, she said. I don't know what's gotten you so upset, but I'm sorry. Yeah, I replied neutrally. Normally I would have hugged and kissed her, but Not this time, after last night, I didn't want to touch her, she leaned back, frustrated. I hope you won't be mad for the rest of our vacation, she said. I looked at her, but didn't respond. We spent the day at Disneyland, ensuring the boys had a good time. I mostly ignored Kay, but tried to remain polite for the boys' sake. I often saw her texting. Was she texting Dan? Who knows, I thought. After lunch, the tired family got back on the bus. I looked at Kay. So did you have a good day? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, but it would have been better if you talked to me. Sorry, I said. I'm still not feeling well. After last night, maybe you should get a good night's sleep, she suggested. Yeah, maybe, I thought sarcastically, as if sleep will fix your cheating. We rode in silence, and had lunch back at the hotel, in our room. I tried one last time with Kay. I hugged her. I'm sorry I've been such a bear, I said. Let's put the kids to bed, and enjoy some private time. I'd love to, but I just got my period, she said. What? I thought. I knew her last period ended before we left Pittsburgh. Well, I'm tired. I think I'll lie down. Go ahead, she said. I'm going to the pool. I watched her leave, and set up my camera to catch them together. Sure enough, they met at the pool. I zoomed in and got clear photos and video of them. They left together, and I was sure they were heading to his room. I sat on the bed, wondering what to do. Then I saw her personal phone on the dresser. I unlocked her phone using our son's birthday. I went through her messages, and realized what was happening. She and Dan had been in a serious relationship for a year. He was the Acme representative at her clinic, and visited every other week. Recently she decided he should get her pregnant with a girl. They planned this vacation so they could be together. Dan's wife knew about their affair. They planned for Dan to accidentally meet us at the pool, and for Kay to spend every night with him. She even agreed to turn me down all week. In their messages, Dan asked, "What will you tell your husband?" "I'll say I'm getting my period. He won't come near me then," she replied. "He'll suspect something." Dan texted. "Not yet," she wrote. "He'll know when you get pregnant. He thinks the boys are his too." She continued, "But they aren't. I took a DNA test. I'll email it to you." Damn. Why stay with him? He asked. He's a good provider and great with the kids. I don't have to worry about getting pregnant by him after his vasectomy. Do you know who the real fathers are? Dan asked. Yes, she replied. An old boyfriend is John's father, and the doctor I used to work for is Robert's. You're something else, he said. I hope he never finds out. He won't, she assured him. If he divorces me, I'll destroy him financially, and keep him away from the boys. You're cold, he said. The coldest, she agreed. In the morning, she texted Dan. He hardly spoke to me. Maybe he's figured it out, Dan said. No, he thinks it's something he ate. Are we still on for tonight? Yes, he replied. See you at the pool. I'll be back around 1 in the morning, she said. Then you have me all night. He wants to take us to the tar pits. Boring. Okay, see you tonight, he said. See you later, lover, she replied. Good thing Kay wasn't around at that moment. People say the opposite of love is indifference, not hate, but for me it was blind, seething hatred. She had lied to me all these years, and robbed me of a real family. I needed to find out about the DNA test she mentioned, so I searched her email. Sure enough, there it was in a folder labeled stuff. The test, dated a year and a half ago, showed both boys had different fathers, and I wasn't one of them. Furious, I forwarded the document to my email, and searched her other emails. There were explicit messages and photos from Dan, and other men, dating back 8 years. I forwarded those too. I rummaged through her purse, and found birth control pills. Why would she need these if I had a vasectomy? I wondered. Her day planner had DK written on several days, likely when she saw Dan. It also had a note to stop BC and no sex on the same day. She must have stopped birth control and cut me off to save herself for Dan. I photographed the planner and pills and put everything back. Then I had an idea at work. We used an app to track all activity on an employee's phone, suspected of passing trade secrets. I set up a similar account to monitor Kay's phone. Within minutes, I could access everything from my phone, tablet, or computer. I also installed an app to record her phone conversations and another to track her phone's location. I knew this wouldn't hold up in court, but I felt justified. I decided to get the boys and myself away from Kay. I called the airline and booked a flight to Pittsburgh, leaving before midnight. I then called Kay's parents. Her mom Julie answered. "I'm Shane." I said, "I need a big favor." "Sure, Shane, is everything okay?" "Not really. I'm bringing the kids home tonight. Can they stay with you for a week?" "I'll explain when I get there." "Of course, is something wrong between you and Kay?" "I'll explain later. Please don't say anything to Kay, I promise," she said. I packed my bags quickly, then woke the boys. "Get up. Guys, we need to pack and leave now." They looked scared and tired. "What's going on?" asked John. "It's an emergency. We're going home. You'll stay with your grandparents for the week. Now move it." "Where's Mom?" asked Robert. "Isn't she coming?" "No, she's with Dan," said John. I looked at him, surprised. "How do you know that?" I asked. "She's been texting him all day," he said. I remembered seeing her on the phone. "Yeah, come on. We're leaving in a few minutes." I helped them pack and wrote a note for Kay. "Kay, you weren't here when we got up, so I took the kids out for the day. I might be late. See you later." I wondered if Kay would notice I hadn't left any affectionate words, but I didn't care. She'd probably read the note and head straight back to Dan. We grabbed our luggage and checked out. I informed the night manager that my wife was still in the room, but didn't know how long she'd stay. "I hope you enjoyed your stay," the manager said. "Yes. Thank you," I replied. Outside we boarded an airport shuttle and the driver loaded our luggage. At the airport, my new reservation was confirmed, and we went through security. On the plane to Pittsburgh, the boys fell asleep quickly, but I stayed awake, researching Pennsylvania divorce laws. It's a no-fault state, but infidelity can affect proceedings. I would likely pay child support, but the evidence of her infidelity might help. I knew I needed a good lawyer, so I planned to ask Cliff, my father-in-law, for a recommendation. Using an app, I monitored Kay's phone, which had archived all its contents. Exhausted, I decided not to review everything again, and instead searched for Dan's address and phone number, finding it in Zanesville. Finally I tried to get some sleep. I woke as the plane descended into Pittsburgh. We disembarked, collected our bags, and headed to the car. I called Cliff and Julie to let them know we were on our way. They greeted us warmly and brought us inside. "What's going on, son?" Julie asked. I thought everything was okay between you and Kay. "I thought so too," I said. "But I found out it was all a lie." "What do you mean?" asked Cliff. I showed them the DNA test from Kay's emails and her messages with Dan. "Oh my God," Julie said. "How could she be so stupid?" "I'm sorry, Shane. I thought she outgrew that after marrying you." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Kay was wild in her younger years," Julie explained. "It started in high school and got worse in college. She was constantly dating different guys. She was even engaged once, but broke it off." "She never told you about this?" "No," I replied. "Yeah, it was during college." Julie continued. "She was engaged to a guy named Mike. They went to high school together." She pulled out a photo album. "Here it is," she said, showing me a prom picture of Kay and Mike. I immediately noticed Mike looked a lot like John. I showed the picture to Julie. "Is it just me, or does he look a lot like John?" I asked. Julie and Cliff examined the picture. "I think you're right," Julie said. "They look very similar, don't they, Cliff?" He nodded. "Of course they look alike," Cliff said. "Do you think he could be John's biological father?" It looks like it to me, I said, but a DNA test would prove it. Is this guy still around? Yes, Julie said, his family owns a deli here, he makes the best pastrami, he probably still works there. She wrote down the name and location of the deli and handed it to me. I'll have to visit him, I thought. I turned to Cliff. Can you recommend a good divorce lawyer? Yes, he replied. Are you sure? You want to pursue this? Absolutely, I said. Kay has lied to me for years, and now she's cheating with some salesman in California. I understand. He said, you've been good to her, and I consider you a son. But she's my daughter, and I still love her. Do what you need to do, but promise me one thing. What's that? I asked. Promise you won't physically hurt her, he said. I nodded. I promise, I said. Thank you. He said, also, come over for dinner tonight with the kids. We need to talk in detail. I'll be here, I said. He handed me a business card. Marion Hawkins, it read, with an address and phone number. She's the best. Call her office early Monday. Thanks, I said. I'll see you tonight. Please don't let Kay know we're here. Mum's the word, Julie said. We said goodbye, and I hugged the boys, promising to come back tonight. I left and headed home. Without Kay and the boys, the house felt dark and empty. Everywhere I looked reminded me of happier times, now tainted by her lies. I wiped away tears, and vowed never to cry over Kay again. Looking in the bathroom mirror, I realized I hadn't slept properly in almost 2 days. God, I said to myself, I look terrible. I brushed my teeth and crawled under the covers, falling asleep almost immediately. I walked into our hotel room at 8 a.m. on Sunday, hoping to see my husband and boys. After how Shane treated me the day before, I was nervous. Thankfully, I had showered before leaving Dan's room, to avoid Shane smelling anything suspicious. I opened the door, expecting the usual morning noise from Shane and our restless boys, but it was silent. Worried, I went to our bedroom, and found a note on the dresser. Kay, you weren't here when we got up, so I took the kids out for the day. I might be late. See you later. S. Short and to the point, typical of Shane. Notably, it lacked his usual affectionate words. He was probably still upset about Friday night. I decided not to call or text. It wouldn't help given his mood. Besides, I wasn't interested in seeing the tar pits. Anyway, I saw my phone on the dresser, unlocked it, and noticed the Messenger app was open. That's odd, I thought. I usually close my apps. I dialed Dan's number. Hey, love, I said when he answered. Shane in. The boys left early, and might be back late tonight. I'm free for the day and night if you want. Has he left already? Dan asked. Yes, I said. He got tired of waiting for me. His loss. I'll meet you downstairs for breakfast, then we can hit the pool and have some fun later. We'll do, lover, he said. I can't wait, I replied. I grabbed a few things from the dresser and left. The clock showed 2 o'clock p.m. When I woke up, I must have been more tired than I thought. I got up, wiped my eyes, and headed to the bathroom. Being Sunday, I couldn't do much with the lawyer, but I had one crucial task. I checked my phone, and saw Kay hadn't texted or called. Figures. She likely spent the day with Dan. After showering and dressing, I checked her phone activity on my tablet. She had called a number with a 614 area code, Dan's area. Listening to the call, I realized she planned to spend the day and night with him. Her tracker showed she was still at the hotel. I found the deli where Mike worked and headed there. Inside, a man behind the counter wearing a name tag that said Mike turned around. He'd put on weight since high school, but I recognized him. Are you Mike? I am, he said. Depends on who you are, he said, smiling. If you're a bill collector. No, I laughed. I'm Shane. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, he said. What can I do for you? Do you know Kay? I asked. Yeah, I did, he Said, back in high school, in college, I heard she got married, yes. To me, 13 years ago, I said. The smile vanished from his face. Weren't you engaged to her once? I asked. Yes, he said, but I caught her with another man, so I broke it off. You took her to prom, right? I asked. Yes, he replied. She was pretty wild back then. I hoped she'd settle down, but I guess not. Did you see her? About 11 years ago? I asked. His face reddened. Yes, he said quietly. She wanted to talk, said she wanted to make amends. She asked me to get her pregnant, claiming her husband liked it. Not exactly, I said. He looked at his wedding band. I wasn't married yet then, he said. I met my wife months later. Did you hear from Kay after that? I asked. Yes, he said. She said she had a baby boy named John, he replied. I showed him a picture of John, striking resemblance, don't you think? Yeah, he said. What do you want from me? Would you testify in court? I asked. Tell the judge what you just told me. Sure, he said. She played both of us. Would you undergo a DNA test to confirm you're John's father? Are you coming to me for support? He asked, nervously. No, I said. I don't know what the court will decide. I've been raising John for 10 years. He thought for a moment. Okay, he said. What do I need to do? I pulled out a cotton swab. Just let me take some saliva from your cheek, I said. He opened his mouth, and I swabbed his cheek, then put the swab in a marked bag, and pocketed it. There's something else, I said. What? He asked. I'll have a pound of your pastrami, please. I'll pay for it, he grinned widely. You have good taste. We make the best pastrami in the state. So I heard, I said. I'll add a sandwich for you at no extra charge, he said. Sounds good, Mike, I said. I haven't had lunch yet. He weighed a pound of meat, bagged it, and made a sandwich, wrapping it in paper. I thanked him, and paid for the pastrami. Shane, you seem professional, he said. I'm sorry about everything, and I hope it works out for you. Thanks, Mike, I said, and thanks for your honesty. I'll see you around. See you, he said. As I left, I drove home. Eating the sandwich, I had another important task. I put the meat in the fridge and finished the sandwich. On my tablet, I checked Kay's phone activity. No new messages. She didn't even care where we were. I went through her emails again, and found exchanges with Dr. Winstead, who performed my vasectomy. He asked if she had talked to me about it. Yes, I have. She answered. I told him I was having a hard time with Robert. And he agreed. Good, he replied. I'll take care of it. He won't be able to have kids when I'm done. Why don't you want kids with him? Have you looked at him? No way, she responded. I couldn't believe what I was reading. She and the doctor conspired to make me infertile, while making me believe I was doing it for her. I copied incriminating emails, photos, and videos onto a flash drive for the divorce. I discovered she had affairs with at least 5 other men after Dr. Winstead left the clinic. These happened while I was away for work 3 or 4 times a year. Then she met Dan, and things changed dramatically. Dan and his wife were in a club, and wanted Kay and me involved. Kay declined on my behalf, and they kept the affair going. I wondered how I hadn't noticed. How long would this have continued if I hadn't found out? How would I explain this to the boys? I had always told them honesty was best, even if it hurt. One day I'd have to tell them. Damn her, I thought. I realized I had to leave soon for dinner with the boys and my in-laws. I showered again, feeling dirty after reading Kay's emails. At home, I rang the doorbell, and Cliff let me in. The boys bustled around me. I love those boys so much, and wish I was their biological father. We had dinner, and then moved to the family room. Dad, John said, are you and Mom getting a divorce? I nodded. I'm afraid so. Son, did I do something? He asked, tears in his eyes. I pulled him close. No, son, you haven't done anything. You're both the best sons anyone could wish for, then why? Don't you love mom anymore? It's hard to explain, I said. Sometimes moms and dads go through things that can't be fixed, but I love you. And will always be there for you, okay? I hugged both boys, comforting them, but they knew things would never be the same. Listen, I said. Go upstairs and get ready for bed. I need to talk to Grandma and Grandpa, okay? Okay, they said, leaving the room. I spent the next hour telling Cliff and Julie what I knew. I showed them the messages, emails, photos, and videos. They were outraged at their daughter's behavior, but watched the videos anyway. It looks like she's been doing this our entire marriage, I told them. That explains what happened last summer, Julie said. What do you mean? I asked. Last summer, when you were at Edward's. For a week, Kay brought the boys over, saying she had a girl's birthday party at her office and might stay late. We didn't see her until Sunday afternoon. I remembered that trip. I had to oversee software testing and was gone for a week. I found emails from that time between Kay, Dan, and Alicia, revealing she spent the week with them. I showed the emails to Cliff and Julie. I'm so sorry, son, Cliff said. You deserve better. You've been a wonderful husband and father. Thanks, Dad, I said. I'm sorry to drag you into this, but I can't stay with Kay. I called Marion, and he said she can see you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thanks, I said. I'll be there. I'll bring everything, including financial documents. Good. Marion is the best. Just don't do anything stupid. I won't. I promised. What about the biological fathers? He asked. I met Mike today. He's a nice guy, and was honest, but I don't know about Dr. Winstead. Yes, he's a cocky guy. I'd like to see you ream him. I laughed. I'd like that too, realizing I had a lot to do. I told them I'd better get going. I'd like to say good night to the boys. Good idea, Julie said. I went upstairs, hugged the boys, told them I love them, and promised to see them soon. I said good night to Cliff and Julie, and headed home. I gathered all our financial information, printed it out, and put it in a folder, along with incriminating emails. I copied pictures and videos onto a flash drive. I checked Kay's phone one last time, saw no activity, and called it a day. I couldn't believe she hadn't texted to check on the boys. The next day, I got up early, saw that Kay still hadn't texted or called, showered, shaved, dressed, and headed to Marion's office. I met her at 9 o'clock. Mr. MCN, I presume, she said. Please call me Shane, I said. You must be Miss Hawkins. It's Mrs. Hawkins, but you can call me Marion, she said. I see you got your father-in-law's message. I did. He said you were the best. I am, she said. My secretary won't be here for another half hour. Let me get us coffee, and we'll start. Sounds good, I said. She made us coffee, and escorted me to her office. Your father-in-law tells me you want a divorce, is that true? She asked. Yes, it is, I replied. Good, tell me what's going on. I told her everything, showed her the emails, texts, DNA form, handed her the thumb drive with photos and videos. And you haven't heard from her since you left California? Nothing, I said. Not a text or call. That won't look good in court. You've identified the biological fathers? Yes, I said, mentioning my meeting with Mike. I see. Divorce isn't about justice. It's usually about money. Mothers almost always get custody, fathers pay child and spousal support. Assets are split in half, and the custodian usually gets the house. Pennsylvania is a no-fault state, but infidelity can be grounds for divorce. Is that what you want? Yes, I said. We'll need to prove it to a judge, but you have a strong case. We can ask that spousal support not be awarded, but you might still pay alimony, depending on many factors. Even if I'm not the biological father? I asked. You raised the children for years, she said, but we still have options, you said. John's father is Dr. Robert Winstead? Yes, I replied, realizing my youngest Son was named after his real father. He's the one who gave you the vasectomy? Marion asked. Yes, I confirmed. Is that significant? Probably, she said. Thoughtfully, I'll work on that. Meanwhile, I'll draft a petition for her to get physical custody, but you'll have joint custody. That's likely what the court will decide. I'll also ask for minimal child support, and no spousal support. We'll offer her the option to buy out your half of the house. The court might order counseling. Are you interested? No, I said. She lied from the start, and took away my chance for a family. Nothing will make me reconcile. I understand, she said, but the judge might still order it. Just be aware. I nodded. What about DNA testing? I asked. We have your wife's test results, but additional testing could be helpful. Go ahead if you want. We discussed more, and she gave me a list of steps to protect myself financially. Then she asked, when do you want the papers served? As soon as possible, I said. You said the hotel room in California is booked through Friday? Yes, but she can return anytime. She probably doesn't know I've left. Good, we'll serve her at the airport if she comes back early. Call me if I don't answer. Leave a message. Meanwhile, don't do anything rash. Stay strong for your boys. Thank you, I said. Is there anything else? Not now, but contact me if you hear from her. I will, I said. How much die? I owed her a check, handed it to her, and left, feeling a bit better. I still hated Kay, but at least I was taking action. On the way home, I went to the bank, and followed Marion's advice. I withdrew half the money, and opened a new account in my name. Then I paid off and closed the joint credit cards, and ordered one for myself. Kay had her own card, which I also paid from our joint account. By the time I got home, it was almost 8 a.m. California time, and I figured if Kay was going to call, it would be soon. At 8 a.m. Monday, I entered our hotel room, unsure of what I'd find. I hadn't heard from Shane yesterday, and I was worried about the boys. I knew they were safe with him, but it would have been nice to hear something. I unlocked the door, but the room was eerily quiet. Where were they? I called out, but no one answered. The boys' beds were made, and their clothes and toys were gone. I ran to our room, and saw that Shane's stuff was gone too. The note he left Saturday was still on the dresser, untouched. I realized he knew everything. I called him. Hi, Shane said. Honey, it's me. Where are you? Are the boys okay? What's going on? Like you care, he said angrily. Of course I care. I love you and miss you. Huh, is that why you waited 36 hours to contact me? Too busy with Dan to notice we weren't there? What are you talking about? I knew the boys were safe with you, and you hate using your phone. Nonsense. You knew I'd be gone, so you spent the day and night with your buddy. Don't lie to me. I know everything. What do you mean everything? I asked, nervous. I found the DNA test. The boys aren't mine. I know who their fathers are, and I know you schemed to keep me from having children. You lied our entire marriage. Even this vacation was an excuse to be with Dan. Shane, it's not what you think, I said, trying to deflect. You don't have to tell me that. You schemed to deprive me of my family. It's over. We're done. I've already seen a lawyer about a divorce. Divorce? No, please. Shane, I don't want a divorce. I don't care what you want anymore. Shane, please, let me come home so we can talk this out. There's nothing to settle. The room is paid for through Friday, so stay there. You'll get the papers when you return. I canceled your joint credit and debit cards, but you still have your personal card. Shane, please. I started, but he hung up. I stared at the phone, contemplating whether to call back, but decided against it. The more I thought about what he said, the angrier I got. Yes, I had cheated many times. I was wild, and thought marriage would change that. I stayed faithful for the first 2 years, but then I let my ex-fiancé Mike get me pregnant. I never really wanted kids with Shane. He wasn't ugly, but he wasn't Brad Pitt either. I kept my Affairs secret, waiting until Shane was away on business trips after John was born. I had more lovers, and I made sure Shane didn't find out I had an affair with Dr. Winstead, who got me pregnant with Robert. I named Robert after his real father, who wanted nothing to do with him. Dr. Winstead suggested Shane get a vasectomy, and I convinced Shane to do it. He believed my lie, and agreed after Robert was born. I continued dating other men discreetly, as long as Shane remained in the dark. I thought everything would be okay. Somewhere along the way, I met Mac. It's not his real name, but everyone calls him that. We slept together a few times, and then he made me a very lucrative offer. Everything we did was for cash, and I managed to save a good amount. I decided to keep it as a backup in case Shane never left me. Some of what I did for Mac was illegal, but he assured me everything would be fine if I stayed calm. Around that time, I verified through a DNA test that neither of the boys were Shane's. I was pleased with the results, and kept the document for future use. I knew I'd eventually have to tell Shane the truth, and I didn't care about his reaction. What could he do? I felt it was my right to choose the father of my children. Shane's reaction to finding out was extreme. We'd been through a lot over the years, and I didn't think this should be any different. I never thought he'd go through with the divorce. He always deferred to me, until Friday night. He called me a promiscuous, which made me furious. Yes, I'm a promiscuous, but how dare he call me that? I'll show him what a real promiscuous can do. I started forming a plan, but then I worried if Shane really knew everything, I could end up in jail. I made a call from my contact list. McGregor, a male voice answered. Mac, it's Kay. Hi, Kay, how's California? Getting a good tan? Yeah, fun, I said. We've got a problem. Shane knows. He says he knows everything. Crap, Mac said. I had just finished talking to Kay. Deciding I couldn't take any more of her scams, I checked that the app I installed on her phone had downloaded the audio file and transcript of the conversation. She was talking to a number in Pittsburgh, registered to someone named Mac. After the conversation ended, I waited for the app to copy the files to the cloud. Once available, I printed the transcript and played the audio. McGregor, said a male voice. Mac, it's Kay, replied Kay. Hi, Kay, how's California? Getting a good tan? Yeah, fun. She answered. We've got a problem. Shane knows. He knows everything. Crap, Mac asked. Yes, she said, and it has to be done Thursday night. Why Thursday? I'm sending him something tonight. He'll be upset, and probably won't defend himself. Also, I'll be here until Friday, and he'll likely serve me divorce papers when I return. Divorce? Mac asked. Yes, he found out about me, and is preparing divorce papers. What are you going to do to upset him? He thinks I'm a strumpet. I'm going to show him what a real promiscuous I am. Mac laughed. You are a promiscuous, aren't you? She giggled. Yeah, but he doesn't know how much it has to look like a home invasion. Does he have a weapon in the house? No, he wanted one, but I never allowed it. What about the boys? I don't want them hurt, but there can't be witnesses. Understood? Yes, what's in it for me? Shane has $1 million life insurance policy, and his employer has a policy. I'll give you $500,000. You're asking a lot. Make it $750,000. Okay, so you want me to eliminate your husband, and possibly your boys? For you, want it done Thursday night, looking like a home invasion? Exactly. And I want you to handle it yourself. I know you've done it before. I understand. You realize this is risky. We both do. Good, but I want to celebrate when you get back. She giggled. Sure, we can celebrate D-Day together. D-Day? Yes, the day Shane dies. They laughed. I've got to go. I won't call until I get back. Don't worry, I'll act like a distraught widow. Okay, I'll text you when it's ready. I can't wait. Talk later. Bye, he said, ending the call. I sat there stunned. Kay had promised to have me, and possibly the boys, eliminated on Thursday. Why, and who? Is this McGregor guy? Is he a cop? What are they hiding? I sent the audio file and transcript to Marion's email, and called her. She answered. On the second ring, Marion Hawkins, she said. Marion, this is Shane. I sent you files. Kay and a guy named McGregor plotted to eliminate me and the boys this Thursday. What? She asked, shocked. Are you sure? Yes, I sent the audio and transcript. How did you get them? Never mind, I'll explain later. I'm heading to the office. I'll clear my calendar, call the DA, and my private investigator on my way, I said, grabbing my tablet, laptop, and transcript printout. I headed to Marion's office. Two men were reviewing the transcript with her. Marion introduced them as Bill Rollins, her private investigator, and Ryan Jacobs, an assistant DA. How did you get this? Ryan asked. I explained about the apps I installed on Kay's phone to archive her data, including emails, texts, videos, photos, and calls, decrypting and saving them in the cloud. I'm not sure we can use this as evidence in court, given how you obtained it, he told me. Look, Mr. Jacobs, I said, the phones and services are in my name, and I pay the bills. That's why I only use my phone for calls. Are you willing to testify under oath? He asked. Absolutely. I said, I'll give you access to everything I have, so you can review it. I need to talk to my boss about it first, he said. Do you know who this McGregor guy is? I shook my head. Not directly. Kay had an affair with him a couple of years ago, judging by her emails. Or he even sent her pictures and videos. Show me, he said. I logged into the cloud account where Kay's phone data was archived in the stuff folder. I found emails with a long video showing Kay with McGregor. We watched until a clear shot of his face appeared. Crap, Bill said. I know that guy. Who is he? I asked. That's Alfred McGregor, he said. He's a police captain in Pittsburgh. Are you sure? Ryan asked. Absolutely, Bill said. Ryan stared at the frame. I think you're right, he said. Can you print this out? He asked Marion. She plugged the laptop into her printer, and soon had a color picture of McGregor with Kay. Ryan looked at me. Can you give me access to all this information? He asked. I can, I replied. Do you have a laptop? He nodded, opened his bag, and connected to Marion's Wi-Fi. I set it up to monitor everything. I think we should put Mr. MCN in protective custody until this is sorted out, Ryan said to Marion. No way, she said. He has two boys to take care of, and putting him in custody could be a death sentence. I won't let McGregor get to him. I have a couple of guys who can guard him, Bill said. Do it, Marion said. Ryan looked at me. Do you know why they want to eliminate you? I showed them emails between Kay and Alfred. I found this in her emails, I said. Ryan's eyes widened as he read. Holy crap, he said. What? Marion asked. Our office is working with the Drug Enforcement Administration on prescription pills on the black market. We haven't found the source yet, he said. Where does your wife work? I told him about her clinic. You think my wife is involved? I asked. That's what these emails suggest. McGregor might be involved too, if your wife thinks you know. She'll want you out of the way. He turned to Marion. Are you sure? You don't want your client in protective custody? To make it easier for McGregor to get him? She asked. No, I want McGregor behind bars immediately. It's not that easy. We need internal affairs and an investigation. He's a police captain, not a rookie. It'll take time. We don't have time for political nonsense, Marion said. By the time you go through channels, my client could be dead. We know McGregor plans to act on Thursday. That's less than 3 days. What do you want me to do? Ryan asked. Call your boss now, she said. He's probably at lunch, Ryan said. He's probably heading back to his car. Call him and put him on speakerphone. Ryan nodded, dialed his boss, and put the phone on speaker. Giles, the man answered. Boss, this is Ryan Jacobs. I'm with Marion Hawkins and her client. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Can't it wait until I get back? Ryan looked at Marion, who smirked. Not exactly, Marion said. We have evidence of police captain involved in murder for hire and pill distribution scheme. Who is this captain? Giles asked. McGregor, Al McGregor, Ryan said. No way. He's a top officer. I can't believe it. We have compelling evidence, Ryan said. What kind? A recorded phone conversation and incriminating emails, Ryan said. Crap. Giles said. We don't have time for politics, Marion. The murder is planned for Thursday night and involves children. Crap, Giles repeated. You already said that. Marion said. What are you going to do? Fine, Ryan. Let Jenkins cover your work for a few days, focus on this, and bring me a solid case in 48 hours. Can you do that? I can do it, Ryan said. Keep this to yourself, Giles said. I'll inform the chief and alert Ia. If there's substance to this, we'll act quickly. Does that satisfy you, counselor? For now, Marion said, but if anything happens to my client or his kids, I'll make sure you regret it, and your re-election will be in jeopardy. Don't worry, Marion, Giles said. I'll do my job. I hope so. She said, I really hope so. Ryan gathered his gear. I better get started. We need a warrant for your wife's arrest. She's due back Friday. I nodded. Good. I'll arrange for the locals to pick her up. Can I have your number for more information? He asked. I wrote down my number and address and handed it to him. He thanked me and pocketed the paper. We'll also need to search your house. I'll get a warrant and call you when we're ready. Understood, I said. He nodded, shook my hand, and left. Marion spoke after Ryan left. This changes your divorce case, obviously, I said, then apologized for my tone. I'm just really pissed off. It's okay, Shane. I'd be pissed too. Do you want custody in the house? Yes, I said. She won't be able to pay child support in jail. Agreed. We'll figure it out. Go home and rest. I'll get back to you. I thanked her and left with Peter following me. Early in the morning, I was awakened by loud banging. At first, I thought it was in my head, but I soon realized it was the door. I looked at the clock, 5:30 a.m. Who would be banging on the door so early? I woke Dan, who threw on a robe and staggered to the door. Police, open up, I heard. That answered my question. But why were they here so early? As soon as Dan opened the door, several large officers entered, two of whom threw Dan against the wall and handcuffed him. Two officers approached me in bed. One looked down at me. Are you okay? One asked. Yes, I replied, still groggy. Get up. You're under arrest, he said. Arrested for what? For conspiracy to commit murder and violating federal laws regarding the illegal sale of controlled substances. Now get up. I'm not dressed. Can I at least get dressed? The officer pointed to two female officers, who pulled something decent from the closet. The male officers turned away, as the women handed me jeans, socks, underwear, and a t-shirt. I dressed quickly, and they handcuffed me. After reading my Miranda rights, Dan was already gone. What about my phone? I asked. One female officer took it from the dresser and put it in her pocket. They led me out and put me in the backseat of a police car. The officer with my phone sat beside me, and another sat in the front. We went to the station, where I was processed and photographed. Can I make a phone call? I asked. The officer pointed to the desk. Phone. Can I use my phone? I asked again. Sorry, it's evidence, she said. Use this one. It took me a moment to remember Shane's number, he answered. After the second ring, clearly angry. What? He snapped. Shane, it's me, I said, my voice shaking. Holy crap, what do you want? I got arrested, I admitted. Yeah, that's what happens when you plot to murder your husband and kids. He said, by the way, they're arresting your partner this morning. Oh no, I thought Max said we wouldn't get caught. Please, Shane, I need help. yes, you do. Maybe you'll get it in jail. Until then, screw you. Which, he hung up, leaving me staring at the phone. I handed it back to the officer. How long am I going to be here? Can I post bail? I asked. No bail has been set, the officer said. You are in custody pending extradition to Pittsburgh. Oh my God, I thought, what about Dan King? The officer checked her computer. Mr. King is being extradited for federal charges in Columbus. This is it, I thought. I'm sunk. The officer took me to my cell, where I sat on this cold, hard concrete seat, staring at the walls, shocked at how far and fast I had fallen. I finished talking to Kay and laughed. I couldn't believe her audacity, expecting my help after plotting to murder me and the boys. She could rot in jail. I hated her more than anyone or anything in my life. Talk about nerve, I said. Peter nodded. Yeah, we pulled up to my house and went inside. I checked Kay's phone for any new activity. Nothing. I called the hotel, explained the situation, and arranged to have her things packed and sent home. Then we sat in the living room, and I turned on the TV. Peter's phone rang, and he left the room for a few minutes. Turn on the news, he said when he returned. I switched to the local news channel. A reporter stood outside an apartment building. Captain Alfred McGregor, a highly decorated police officer, was shot and killed early this morning during an arrest related to a conspiracy to sell stolen prescription pills, the reporter said. Details are limited, but the police chief will hold a press conference later today. My phone rang. It was Bill. Did you see the news? He asked. Saw it. What happened? McGregor opened the door and started shooting. The officers returned fire and took him down. So I'm safe now? Let's be cautious. I'd like Peter to stay with you for the week. I don't think McGregor had anyone else after you, but better safe than sorry. Sounds good to me. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, I said, ending the call. I looked at Peter. Looks like you're staying here for the week. Need anything? No, I'm good, he said. I sighed in relief. Later that day, Peter and I went to see the boys. After dinner, I told them about the day's events. So is Mom going to jail? John asked. Looks like it, son. Probably for a long time. He got quiet. I knew being a single parent with their mother in prison would be tough, but I was grateful for supportive relatives. The rest of the week passed quickly. On Wednesday, Marion informed me that Kay had been returned to Pittsburgh, and her court hearing was set for Thursday. I made sure to be at the courthouse. I watched as Kay, in an orange jumpsuit in shackles, was led in. The judge ordered her detention without bail. She sobbed as she was led out. Her attorney asked if I could bring the boys to visit her. I told him they didn't want to see her. Marion said the divorce papers were ready, and asked if I wanted to be present when they were served. I agreed and met the bailiff at the jail. Kay was brought to the visiting area. Still shackled, she looked up at me and smiled weakly. I just stared at her. The bailiff approached and asked if she was Kay. I am, she replied. He handed her the papers and stepped back. She began sobbing as she read them. Normally I would have comforted her, but not now. I stepped forward and held out a pen. Sign the goddamn papers, I said. Don't I get anything? She asked, tears in her eyes. Not a chance. You won't need anything where you're going. Can I at least see the boys? They don't want to see you. To us you're dead. And speaking of dead, your partner was killed during the arrest. I heard. Please, Shane. Forgive me. No. I loved you for over 13 years, and you repay me with lies, cheating, and denying me children of my own. I will never forgive you. Now sign the divorce papers. Sobbing, she picked up the pen and signed the papers. When she finished, I handed them to the bailiff. Thank you, he said. I'll return these to Mrs. Hawkins, and she'll file them with the court. I watched him leave, then turned back to Kay. I just want to know one thing. Kay, what? She asked. Why? Did you do it? She shrugged. I don't know, because I wanted to. And I could, I guess, and look where that got you. You're in serious trouble, but it's not my problem anymore. I glanced around the gloomy room. You know, I have a feeling you're going to die behind walls like these, and you know what? No, Shane, she said, tears welling up. I can't wait to piss on your grave when you do, I replied, echoing her earlier words. She started sobbing, but I didn't care. One last thing for me and the boys, I added. What? She asked, looking more wistful than ever. I raised both middle fingers. Screw you, which, I said, turning away. I heard her sobbing uncontrollably as I walked out. Too bad, I thought. Kay's murder for hire trial went quickly, given the boys were also targets. She was sentenced to 25 years to life. The federal pill investigation dragged on for months, resulting in an additional life sentence. Dan was also sentenced to life. My boys and I moved on. They never wanted to visit their mother, so I respected their wishes. Cliff and Julie visited their daughter monthly. It took time to adjust to being a single parent, but Cliff and Julie helped a lot. Julie urged me to find a nice girl, but I wasn't ready. After what Kay had done, I wasn't sure I could trust or love again. However, a couple of weeks after Kay signed the divorce papers, I had a vasectomy reversal, even though the doctor said it might take a while before I could father children. A few weeks later, Marion contacted me with something important. What? I asked. Come by my office, she said. When I arrived, she pulled out a bottle of champagne and poured 2 glasses. She handed me one, along with an envelope. Open it, she said. I opened the envelope and found a check for $2 million, signed by Dr. Winstead. Shocked, I asked, how did you manage that? I convinced Drive Winstead it was in his best interest to settle, after pointing out the potentially devastating and embarrassing divorce his wife would likely want, and the damage to his reputation. He decided to settle rather than explain why he forced you to undergo an unnecessary procedure. Wow, I said. Never get on your bad side, she laughed. That's your after-tax profit. He also paid all your fees and expenses. He must be very rich, I said. He is, she said. Last year he gave more to charity than this settlement. She raised her glass, and I joined her. My self-imposed exile from women lasted 5 years. Then I met Lori Reynolds, one of John's teachers. Like me, she was a single parent, also divorced, and wary of relationships. We dated for a year before I proposed. She said yes, and a few months later we married. About a year after that, she gave birth to our daughter, Sarah Jane, named after our mothers. Tears filled my eyes as I held her for the first time. Lori hugged me tightly, knowing Sarah was the first baby I had fathered. I called the boys and their grandparents into the room, and introduced Sarah Jane. They immediately adored her. While Lori, the kids, and I moved on, Kay's life deteriorated. A few months after her first conviction, she was diagnosed with HIV and separated from the other inmates. She died of AIDS about 13 years later, buried in Potter's Field with only a simple plaque. I wanted to fulfill my promise to pee on her grave, but Lori convinced me otherwise. Come sit with me, she said on the back porch. She poured me a cup of chamomile tea. Shane, I know how hard it was to get over what Kay did, but you have to let it go and move forward. It's hard, and it still hurts, I said. I know, she said. If I thought it would help, I'd go with you and piss on her grave. You know that, right? Yes, I said, but now she's gone, and she can never hurt you again, Lori said. Kay suffered from AIDS almost as long as your marriage. She died alone, unloved, and forgotten. She paid the ultimate price. What more can you do? I had to admit she was right. Have you told the boys? She asked. They're in college now. I told John and Robert. At first they thought I meant you, then realized it was about their mother. How did they take it? They didn't seem to care. What does that tell you? She asked. They've moved on with their lives. Exactly, she said, and so should you. You've been a great husband and father. You loved and raised John and Robert, even after learning you weren't their biological father. You adopted Mark, and raised him too. He's a good boy, I said. Thanks to you, she said. He sees you as his father. We watched Sarah playing in the yard. Didn't Kay want the Dan guy to give her a daughter? Lori asked. Yeah, I replied. It felt like ages since that Friday night. Think about it, if she hadn't been so greedy, you could have had a daughter with her, and Sarah wouldn't exist. She was right. I kissed Lori. Just then Sarah ran to us with a white flower. Daddy, look what I have for you. Thank you, dear, I said. That woman said you really like them, Sarah said. Lori and I looked around, but saw no one. Which lady? Lori asked. That one over there, Sarah said, pointing. We saw nothing. Goosebumps ran down my spine. What else did she say? Lori asked. She said she's sorry for everything and wants you to forgive her, Sarah said. Looking at me, I saw the vegetation swaying, as if touched by a light breeze. A sudden gust of cold air came and went. I looked at Lori, tears in my eyes, and nodded. It's time, I said, knowing it was the hardest thing I'd ever do. Lori smiled, and Sarah hugged me. I forgive you, Kay, I whispered. Looking up, Sarah hugged me tighter, and kissed my cheek. I love you, Daddy, she said. Thank you. She ran back into the yard. I looked at Lori, wondering what had happened. She smiled, and kissed me. At that moment, I felt happier and more content than I had in a long time. As if a huge weight had been lifted. Maybe, I thought, happiness is the best revenge.